Why do you think parents now feel more helpless than they may have in past generations? I mean, there's always
Yeah.
change, there's always new technologies. Why in this particular moment do you think parents are feeling a little bit out of their element? Is it just everything's changing so fast, or what's the deciding factor?
I think that that's one part. I definitely think that's one part. I think the other part is, I was just thinking about this the other day. So this is actually the first time I'm answering this question with this answer, which is that I think we're actually living in a time where our kids know more about technology than we do. And so they feel smarter about it than we do, and we lean on them, at least many of us do. Like in my experience, many adults my age, I'm around 40, lean on their 12-year-old, 13-year-old to teach them, like, oh, show me the new feature on Instagram, or how do I do this, or how do I make this widget pop up on my computer or my phone.
Hmm.
And so I think from that perspective, there's almost like this shifting of this power dynamic where the kids now have power because they know more. But
Mm.
and so for me, I think that creates some sense of insecurity internally within adults. I don't necessarily think they would say it out loud, like, oh, I'm insecure because my child knows more than I do, but
Yeah.
I do think that it's sort of like this odd shifting of the plates. And I think parents feel like, if my child owns their phone, it's their phone. And so who am I to take that from them? Or if they have a device, it's their device. Who am I to take that device away? So, and I see this all the time. Like I'll sit with parents and they'll say, she just won't put down her phone at dinner. And I will say, then take her phone away. And the
Hmm.
response is, well, we can't just take her phone away.
Yeah.
And I look at them and I say with wide eyes and mouth totally dropped open, why not? Like, why can you not take her phone away? And there's never a good answer. I mean, there's never a good answer. It's never because she's paying for it and we're not. It's never that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Right.
it's never because she needs it to live. It's never that, right? I mean, there's never a good answer. So I think that's part of it. I also think that parents are really scared right now. And I don't know. I think where this comes from is just our continued lack of tolerance for that which is difficult. And so they're
Mm.
they're picking the easy road and route of like not upsetting the child. So not setting a boundary because they would rather just not deal with the tantrum,
Mm.
not taking a device away during a particular time because otherwise, that their child is going to be grumpy, not saying no to the Lucky Charms in the cereal aisle because they don't want their child to throw a fit and other strangers to look, and then they're really uncomfortable. So I think we as a society, and this is maybe even a different topic, but we're really moving away from our ability to just even tolerate like human existence and the pain that is included in that. And and so I think from that perspective, we trying to minimize that as much as possible at home as well. And we don't want to hear the tantrums, and we don't want to get our kids mad at us, and we don't want them to be sad at all. We definitely don't want them to experience failure or pain. But unfortunately, as we talk about in the book, and as I see in my practice all the time, this is not building kids who have healthy coping skills and healthy coping mechanisms. So I think that's sort of part of where it's stemming from.
And add to that, I mean, it's not even about healthy coping skills. Let's just talk about health in general. I mean, I think this
Yeah,
part of the conversation ties into a word you used earlier, which was boredom. And this is exactly when, parents might want to think about being more active with their children. I mean, just a couple of stats to share. Only 1 in 3 children are physically active. About 1 in 3 children are either overweight or obese in the United States. And new diagnosis of type 2 diabetes for the people that are aged between 10 and 19 is increasing like 5% a year.
I know.
So, right, in terms of like doing what's easy and avoidant versus doing the right thing, pulling from the concept in your book, this is when you prioritize movement over screen time.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. I mean, one of the things that we do in our household is that when I sense that the kids like feel cooped up, like they're getting grumpy or, they're starting to nitpick at each other. I've got 2 boys, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, right? So they're starting to like poke at each other. Immediately, the answer is go outside and play. There's a field across our street, or like we literally will say, run a lap around the block, right? Because now, and I would guess most parents in that moment, when the kids are barking at each other, when they're, being loud, when they're poking at each other and you've got something to do, most parents would say, you guys just turn on the TV and watch a show, right? Or like, grab your iPads, fine, go upstairs, get on your Nintendos, just whatever, go, just go do something for a little bit, right? Or go in a timeout and sit down and like stare at the wall and not move your body. Like neither of those are particularly effective. Whenever we do that with our children and we tell them to go outside, play in the field, or tell them to run around the block, they come back a different kid. They come back completely different every time. And so, and it is a happier kid. It's a more regulated kid. It's a little bit of a tired kid, and tired kids like actually sometimes can be rather pleasant unless you get to the exhausted phase. And then that's awful. Yeah. But, so I think we really have to dial into that part, the movement part, and we are responsible for that. Like I saw something the other day that talked about, that because of COVID and then because of the lockdown, that the kids gained more weight last year than they've ever gained in a particular year. And I just thought to myself, like, this is not the government's fault. This is our fault as parents. I don't, political beliefs aside, you as a parent, you are the one that is choosing to not intervene when your child is sitting on the couch. You are the one that is choosing to not intervene when they grab the second bag of chips when they're watching something on Netflix. Like that is your choice, nobody else's choice. And I think that we are offloading responsibility onto the government, onto school systems, onto other entities that, at the end of the day, the buck stops with us. Like we've got to intervene and do a better job.
Absolutely.
I get kind of passionate about it, but you can tell that it matters to me.